Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to each of you to another lively and engaging session. My name is Vidushi Sharma, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We're thrilled to have you all here as we dive into an insightful discussion. Before we begin, let's establish a few guidelines to ensure a smooth experience. All participants will remain on mute during the session to maintain focus and minimize interruptions. The chat box will be activated as the session progresses. We encourage you to actively participate by sharing your thoughts and asking questions. At the end of the session, we will share a feedback form link. Kindly fill it out to receive your certificate of participation. Now, it's my privilege to introduce today's distinguished speaker, Ms. Alice Swami. Ms. Swami is a seasoned educationist with an impressive 35 years of experience, during which she has served as a teacher, CEO, director, and principal. Over the course of her career, she has led reputed institutions to remarkable academic excellence and accreditation while consistently strengthening school culture and teaching practices. Her work reflects a deep understanding of curriculum design, school leadership, teacher training, and student development. She has successfully implemented innovative and learner centered programs, mentored countless students to achieve outstanding academic and extracurricular results, and guided teachers to elevate their instructional skills. Her leadership style blends vision with empathy, making her a respected figure in every institution she has been a part of. Beyond her administrative accomplishments, Ms. Swami is an avid reader and writer with a keen interest in educational philosophy, leadership, and personal growth. She firmly believes in nurturing the innate potential of every child and creating learning spaces that inspire curiosity, confidence, and lifelong learning. Her commitment to shaping young minds and empowering educators continues to make a meaningful impact in the field of education. Please join me in warmly welcoming Ms. Alice Swami to today's session. Over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, we can't hear you clearly. It is clear. No, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm not able to hear you still. Yes, I'm able to see you, but I can't hear you. Yeah, sure. We can't hear you, ma'am. Is it possible that you can join in with another device that can, yeah. Teachers, thank you for your patience. We're just getting the technical issue solved. Kindly wait for another 5 minutes.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm extremely sorry.
It's echoing.
Echoing, yes, I know that.
Now it's better.
Now is it okay? Now okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm extremely sorry, dear teachers and all the people those are participating for this glitch, but then it is not in my hand. Like you okay, all can understand. Anyway, we did have a late start, but I will try to finish up the webinar in time and with all the points that I want to speak about, I will discuss about it, and I'm sure it will be an engaging program, like, webinar for all of us. It would be nice if you can have a look at all of your beautiful faces, because I can see everybody is behind that closed curtain, and must be doing their some household work, and busy with the children, or maybe the kitchen or something they must have put on, and they must be listening to it. If you can give me if I can have a look at you all, it would be nice. Nevertheless, even if you don't come on the screen, I will be still speaking, and you can listen to it and can take benefit of the all the webinar details that I have prepared you all. So time to time, I'll be presenting you all the clippings with the PPT. Go through it. It is all self-explanatory, and you will understand that what I'm trying to speak in few words itself. It is self-explanatory, I can say. So today we are going to talk about assessment. What is assessment? Assessment is nothing but just trying to know, like, how much the child has understood. Like, has he understood or has he not understood? So we try to mark them, like, or grade them. Either mark them or grade them. Now we have grade system for the smaller ones, and marking system for the older, the children, like grade first to 10th or 11th or 12th, whatever it is. So let us first try to understand why we have to have grading, or why should we mark them? Why should we access them? For the simple reason to understand that they are knowing the subject well before going progressing to the next class. So we have exams that we take in our school, maybe in different forms. Some have unit tests, then the semesters are there, then again we have a unit test, and then we take the final exam. In those four exams, we'll try to find out how where the child has reached, and where, if they have not understood, we have different types of method to assess them, not only in the writing pattern but also orally, and also by trying to give them different kinds of works to do, so that if not this, then that. How do we know about it? So let us understand the first important thing. I would like to share my PPT with you all. So give me a minute. I'm just sharing my PPT. So today's topic is assessment beyond marks. So what are the best practices for meaningful feedback as per NCF? So NCF has given us guidelines, like you have to take care of a child in these particular format, in this particular way. So we have to go according to NCF and see whether the child is understanding the subject or not. So for understanding this, I have divided this part into 5 sections. The first section, which I'll be talking about now, is that earlier we used to have a rote memorization. Like if the child is a parrot, like he would talk from A to Z, we used to say, wow, this child is great. He knows everything. And we used to be feel very happy about it. But in today's scenario, it is not so. Now the shift has come that from rote memorization, the child has whether understood or not the concept, what we are trying to teach the child, whether it is clear or not, is to be understood. So the NCF, what it tells us, that you have to understand, you have to emphasize whether the child is understanding the topic, and then he has to apply that understanding over rote memorization. So first, what you should do is not only concentrate on the child only talking to you like a parrot and without forgetting the full stop and a comma. He's telling you everything. The answer is written without understanding it. That does not mean that the child is good. The child has to be doing good things, not only in the study part, but also extracurricular activities. So there's a major shift come from the rote memorization to the understanding part of the concept. The second part that we have to concentrate is whether the assessment for learning. Now, whatever assessment that we do, it should support learning. Simple as that. You just go to the class, you open a chapter, you start teaching them, and the child is sitting across and is only listening to you. You can only see that the child is sitting on the bench, but he is elsewhere. His mind is elsewhere. He's not listening to you, maybe because he's not understanding what you're trying to teach the child. So you should support learning. in a way, like the child is more inquisitive to the teaching pattern that you're doing. So you should support learning, and just not by mere physical presence of the child should not be the only criteria for you to see whether the child is understanding. So I would say that assessment for learning, it should support learning, and you should just not measure it in terms of marks. Only terms of marks is not always important. Like the child should also know that the concept is like, maybe his spellings will be wrong, maybe grammatical mistakes will be there, but yet the child is understood. So that is called supporting the learning pattern. Next, you should have continuous and comprehensive assessment. Now, what is continuous? Like most of the schools that I have seen are having tests at regular intervals. Like every week they will have assessment. Every week the child has to learn something or be prepared for a test. I don't think why should we have every week. The child also gets tired of learning so many things every week. So it is a continuous thing, but then the continuous support also does not mean that every day the child is tested. Every day, if you test a child, the child becomes bored of the school. He will try to avoid coming to school because the child is 24/7 learning, reading with the books, and the child does not have time to play. So do not have a continuous means not 24/7 kind of thing, but yes, you can have comprehensive assessment. Regular assessment should be done. You should monitor the progress and also identify meanwhile the areas of improvement. Not all children are same on the same level. There are children who do good in some subjects, there are some children who do good in the other subject. So you will not find all the children doing good in maths or science or ss or Hindi or Marathi. There will be some children who are also interested in PE. They are very much good in sports. Some are good in music, some are good in dance. So it is, the teacher has to take care that the child gets that interest, is interested in the subject what is it. For that you have to be regular in your assessment. If you're finding the child is failing somewhere, or he's not understanding, or he's not interested, so your assessment should be child centric, not teacher centric. It should be child centric. Like, okay, now today you have got 1 mark in one subject, so let us see how we can get 2 marks in the other subject after 5. So you have to be regularly after the child. You should monitor the progress. You should find the loopholes. You should find the difficulties that the child is facing to understand the subject. So continuous and comprehensive assessment helps by the child. By regular assessment and by monitoring their progress, you can definitely identify the areas for improvement and you can work on it. So this is a job for teacher, that she has to be after a child and see how the child is progressing. After that, you have to focus on the learning outcomes, like I have already told, in rote memorization and also in learning and also in comprehensive assessment. You have to focus on learning outcomes. Just not finish your lessons and just walk out of the class without bothering whether the child has understood the subject or not. That is your job to see that the child has is leaving the class with some outcomes, with some understanding. Today's takeaway: a teacher should always have a notebook with her in which she can write it down and say, yes, today's takeaway for my child for this lesson, for this paragraph, is this and this. And it is her teacher's job to see whether you teach a lesson in 1 day or you teach a lesson in 4 days. The outcome should always be that the child has understood it, not that just go to the class, spend your 35-40 minutes in the class and then say, okay, now I have taught them, now it is upon them whether they have understood or not, it's not my job. No, a teacher cannot do that. So she has to always focus on the learning outcome. She should always measure the student's progress, and she should always have a book with her which she can see time to time. X student in the first month was at this level. By she taking active interest in the child has climbed a ladder, one step of a ladder. So this is a teacher's job to see whether the student is progressing or not. You cannot leave a child by saying he doesn't know anything and I cannot do anything about it. It is your job to see, because the child is coming to you. The children are like clay. You have to mold them. You have to shape them. So The students' progress, I personally feel, is definitely with the teachers totally. Maybe I can say that 80% is with the teachers and 20% with the parents also, because it's the parents' job also to see that the child is coming to home and giving away the details of the school, and where the parent feels that, okay, my child is not understood here. So the parents can also contribute. After that, it should be an inclusive assessment. Assessment should cater to diverse learning needs and ability. What do you mean by diverse? What do you mean by inclusive? Inclusive means, are all five fingers not same? Likewise, all the students are not same. They are having different mindsets. One might be weak, one might be more weaker, one might be brighter. So only the teacher should not focus on the brighter children. I know you must all be not focusing only on the brighter children, and definitely must be taking care of the children those are struggling to pass, like, cross the passing mark. I'm very sure that you all must be doing that, trying to find a different ways and means how to get through this child. No, some teachers, they really, I must say, 99% of the teachers, they really break their head to see that the child is getting through that boundary line, like, so teachers, actually, teacher's job is very difficult. Not many people understand this. They feel that a teacher's job is very easy. They just go to the class and then they just say blah blah blah. They come out of the class and they just put a tick mark on the book and then they go home. They have so many holidays to enjoy, and teacher's job is the most what you even say, coveted job. Like, they are the best one. Like, getting so many holidays and this. But the parents or the people who say this, I must really ask them to come to the class for a week and see how the teachers manage the class, how difficult it is there for these people to manage these children. When they are not able to manage one child at home, the teacher is taking care of minimum of 40 children in a class. So yes, the teacher's job becomes more difficult, and the teacher is always on her toes. I do understand, in my past 35 years of experience, I have seen that teachers are really struggling to cater to the children's need. And in today's day and time, it is more difficult. Earlier it was okay, but nowadays, to get a child to learn is a really difficult task. And over that, we have to do the assessment, and over that, we have to see the child's progress, and we have to get them good marks, 70% and 80% and 90%. And all those things are all done by teachers. And at the end of the road, the parent will say, हमने बहुत ध्यान रखा था, बच्चे को बहुत ट्यूशन दिया, बट आप उसको ट्यूशन में डालो, आप उसको स्कूल में भेजो. At the end of the day, it is the teacher who is teaching the child. So yes, inclusive assessment is again a part of the teacher. So these are the 5 points which I can say that you should understand. After you have understood the assessment pattern, there are some principles, I must say, which I feel you should follow. So you can just note down the pointers, like, validity, reliability, transparency, fairness, flexibility. Just write these points and keep, so that it will be easier for you all to understand. So when I say validity, so what is that validity? It is an assessment should be measured what they are intended to measure. Like, if you are asking them a concept, then you should only rely on that concept when you are marking them. You should not expect the child to write the first also and the last also of the para. Like, if you are asking them for that para, that questions, then you should only assess them, the child, only for that para. Then you should not say the child has not written the pre and not written the post of it, because you have not asked the child for that. So your assessment has to be measured properly. And your assessment next is reliability. Assessment should be consistent and dependable. When you say consistent, means what? Continuous. It should be consistently, and the dependability of the assessment, it's the job of the teacher. So it has to be valid, it has to be reliable, and also transparent. When you say transparent, means if you are marking a child wrong, why the child has marked wrong has to be understood first by the teacher, and then later explained it to the child. When you're saying, no, this answer is wrong, why have you given wrong? When the child comes and asks you, definitely you have to have an answer, ki no. And never it should happen that you are given it, of course never happens that the teacher is given one child correct and the other child wrong. It most of the time it does not happen. But the child will not understand the difference between two words, and he might come to you and say, ma'am, this is the same meaning, so for this meaning you are given marks, and for this meaning you have not given marks. So it is the teacher's duty to make him understand. So your correction, what you do, or the assessment you do, should be transparent, so and also clear. Because when you are giving like for example for MCQs, if you are giving confusing answers, so you should know the difference when you are correcting what is A and what is the difference between B, because the child will understand A is similar to B. But when you sit down to correct, the transparency should be there with the teacher in her explanation, that no, this is clearly and understandable. And in all fairness, you should correct the papers. Your assessment should be fair. Just because you do not like a child's behavior, just because you feel the child is laid back, just because you feel that the child is absent most of the time, just because you feel that the child is not submitting the projects on time, just because you feel no, his parent is not good, they don't talk nicely, and they always come and fight with us, and all these things, you should not bring anything into the picture, and you should be fair, and you should not be biased, and you should ensure that you give equal opportunities to all. So a teacher's job is to be fair. Fair means there are times, like once you have a child whom you like a lot, because the child is very polite, and the child is very good in studies, and the child is always present in the class. So if you compare these children to the children, those who are not so good or not so attentive in the class, always full of mischief, or always not understanding, or whatever it is. So, in all fairness, you should be not biased. Simple as that. You are a teacher, and for you, all the children should be same. And you should also give equal opportunities to all. If you are giving 5 minutes to write extra for one child, you should be fair enough to give 5 minutes extra to another child whom you are not so good with them. But first and foremost, I feel that the teacher should not have my favorite child this, or my favorite student this. Line should never be there with a teacher. For her, all the children should be same. She should not be biased, and she should ensure equal opportunities. Now you'll say, no ma'am, we are always fair, and we are always not biased, and we always give equal opportunities. But I would ask you all to look into yourself and think about it. Don't you have a child in the school whom you feel is your favorite? Anytime, I am definite of this, that any teacher who has worked will definitely have one favorite child in the class, and the teacher is little soft towards that child, little soft. I don't say that you are all the more harsh to others and softer to that child, no, but you will definitely have 1 point more given to that child's behavior, because the child is good. I don't say that the child is wrong or bad or anything, but when it comes to assessment, no matter how favorite your child is, you have to be having and giving equal opportunities to all. This is what I feel about fairness and flexibility. The last point in the principles of assessment, I would say, is flexibility. What is flexibility? Assessment should be accommodate different learning style. Now, as it is told to us by CBSE board and the NCF, and that it should be inclusive of everything. When you say inclusive studies, that we have to do inclusive education we should have, that means you will have children of different mindset with you. Some will be fast, some will be slow, some will be very very slow. So how to go about it? You have to first and foremost take charge of your class situation and see which children are good, and then you have to categorize their what do you say, the speed that they write the paper with. Even board gives extra time for children, those who are not so uh, like those who are having those are inclusive, I can say. So board also gives time to these kind of children, and they also try to accommodate the timing by giving them extra hours. So yes, as a teacher in the school, you should also have this kind of a facility for the children, those who are not so are inclusive, and they're having some learning disabilities, some that the learning style is different. So you should consider this all and assess the child. This is what I feel. So you should be flexible. because at the end of the day it is your marks which makes a difference. So if you are given 10 minutes extra to a child who's finding it difficult to write a paper, nothing is going to fall on the sky, so your assessment should be little flexible, and that will help the child. You'll get more confident. The child will be feeling more comfortable with you, and we will say, no, this teacher tries to understand my problem and gives me the time to understand. So, in this 10 pointers, if you'll see that I have covered the understanding of assessment and also the principles of assessment. So, which I'm very, very sure that you must be doing it in a school and trying to understand. And you will feel, yes, ma'am, we are flexible and we are this and we are that. But somewhere you should also try to gauge yourself on a day to day basis and see whether are you really sincere to your job. Everybody is not sincere to the job. I can vouch for that. As a teacher, I have seen so many teachers coming and going, and I have seen hundred of teachers, different teaching patterns to the children. Some teacher will be so good and dedicated, and some might not be, but they are teachers. They teach, but the what do you say the I can always say that the teachers, those who come and just go and teach, are should not be in the profession. And if you are in the profession, you must do justice to your job, because teaching job is not an easy job. As I already told you, teaching job is a very difficult job. And if you have decided to become a teacher, then might as well you give 100% to the class, 100% to your profession. Then only you will be remembered after 30, 40 years when you meet your children somewhere on the road or in the mall or in a cafe, anywhere. They will remember you. Yes, this was my English teacher and she was this teacher. Because children are very smart, very smart. They remember the teacher, those who are good and not so good. So they know which teacher is good and which teacher is, no matter how much. You cannot fake before the child. They understand you completely. You think that you understand the children, but the children are the better people to tell you what kind of a teacher. If the children feel comfortable with you, if the children feel they love you, if the children is scared of you, or whether you are a very khadus kind of a teacher, or whatever terms they give you, you will come to know what kind of a teacher. And the best I must say, the best trophy that you can get from a child is that when they remember you after 10, 20, 30 years, that is your best reward that you get, you can say, in a teaching profession. Because we don't get high rewards in monetary terms, or high rewards in experience, high rewards, or even higher appreciation from the management. Sometimes you don't get higher good appreciation from the management. If you do extra work, they will just nod their head and then walk away. But if you are a teacher, you are a teacher for a lifetime, not just for that 1 or 2 years. But yes, teaching job is completely, till you are living, you are a teacher. So I feel the principles of assessment should always be on these 5 points which I have told you. Give me a minute to have a glass of water. Okay, I hope I'm not going very fast. If I can get in the chat, if I'm fast, kindly let me know. If not, then I can keep the speed, or I can reduce my tempo. Is it okay with everybody?
I think yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I hope I am being understood, Vidusha.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Neetu, also. Okay, now there are some types of assessment which we should try to follow. Not everybody does it. But if you have your separate book maintained, a separate diary maintained for the child, which I think you must be having, all must be having, because generally teachers do have a separate book which they maintain, So in that, what type of assessment? Like generally we say formative and summative assessment. Now in formative assessment, you will see that what is formative assessment? You will say like a class test that we give, or we give dictation, or we give projects, or we ask them to do mental math sums or some science project. So these are all ongoing and informal assessment to monitor their progress. Now, what is dictation? Dictation, just learn 10 words and come and then give. So this is not which you are not grading anywhere, or which are just in the notebook that you are giving them. Learn 10 marks dictation and come, or make this project and come. And then after doing that, then you give them out of 5, like you give them 2 marks or 3 marks or 4 marks or 5 marks. So formative assessment is always an ongoing process. It is always informal assessment to monitor their progress. Like you want to know where they are reaching. So keep trying these kind of things. Like you can always have class tests, dictation, projects, and you can always have lab manuals to be completed, or you can always give them models, or you can always have a 2D or 3D modules which they can prepare, and you can understand whether the child has understood that subject, or whether the child has understood that particular subject, or the what you can say, the particular lesson that they are doing. So always have formative assessment which is ongoing throughout the year. You must have, and you should have a separate book maintained, the book given by the school. Apart from that, you should have one book maintained with you for every child, so that you know how the, like in the beginning only I have told you like how the progress should go. You should always monitor their progress on. I remember one school which I will not name. I was working there as a teacher, to just tell you all. We were given one book. In that we were supposed to write on an everyday basis how the child was in the class. Of course, you all must also be doing, like the child was happy or sad, or depressed, or not attentive. And then we had to give a reason also. This was long time, that's like ago. So it was like that we used to do all these things. So these days also we have so many options of doing. So this ongoing and informal assessment to monitor progress. Then there is summative assessment. What is summative assessment? It's a formal assessment to evaluate learning at the end of a period. Like we have our test, unit test, or we are having a semester exam. So these are all summative assessment where the child is marked, where the child is given marks on his or her abilities, what they are doing. So we should have formative assessment, which is an ongoing process. Then we should also have summative assessment where we can know where the child has reached. And then we have diagnostic assessment. Now, this is the assessment which we have to see and identify for the improvement. Okay, now this child is not doing this. So what will be the improvement? How we should do? What will be the improvement? And try to find ways to improve the child. Try to find innovative methods like which the child can learn, on what the child can understand. After that, we can also have peer assessment. What is peer assessment? Students access and provide feedback on each other's work. So they can correct each other's book, or the dictation that you give there. You can ask a child to correct it, write the words on the board. These are simple things like which you can do. Or the child can ask, like, okay, ma'am, I have asked him this question, he has answered me. So, like that, peer assessment also can be done. And the child becomes more responsible in this and feels, yes, my friend is knowing this answer, so I should also know this answer. So that way, peer assessment also helps at time. After that, we have self-assessment. Self-assessment means the child has to evaluate himself. Like you give a question to them on the board and tell them now you answer, and then give the answer on the board and say now you only give yourself mark. You only show where you are reaching. So the child should be, of course, the child will try to give out of marks to themselves, but it's not necessary. It is just a practice that you're doing. The child will inside, in deeper sense, he will understand that whether he's given himself good marks or bad marks, and whether he's cheated or not, because he knows the answer is this and yet I'm giving myself full marks. So that means he will know that and understand that yes, no, I have to improve somewhere. So that is why I'm telling you ki, I have got some questions also coming. Please tell the difference between formative and summative assessment once more. Formative, I'll try to clarify it. Formative assessment is like you give dictations, as I told you, and projects you do mental maths, and you can give them only two sums. And you tell them now do this. It is not an exam. You are not marking them. You are not doing anything which will reflect in their report card. Summative assessment reflects in the report card, whereas formative assessment does not reflect in the report card. It only comes in terms of, say, 5 marks throughout the year. But for that 5 marks, you must have taken 500 tests of this. So you know throughout the year, like how this is going, like, and summative assessment is the paper that you give them during the unit tests and the semesters. So there you do the corrections and the paper pattern, which then you have your PTM, and then you come and explain the parents, like. So that is two different. Formative you can do as per you want, and summative as per the school pattern, whatever the school is having. So that is called summative assessment. I hope I have answered your questions. Then I was telling that it should be a self-assessment. So self-assessment also helps children. They helps children. So I would like to just now talk to you all for some time and then go back on the PPT and understand. Of course, you can put whatever questions you have in the chat box. Of course, at the end of the session, we are going to have a question and answers round where you can ask me what you want to. But I believe up to now you must have understood what I'm trying to say. So I have given you all an understanding of assessment, then the principles of assessments and the types of assessment. So generally we have these kind of thing. And as I told you at the beginning that we are going to mark ourselves on 50 points. So out of this 15 points we have covered. So 5 marks is for understanding, then another 5 was for principles, and then another 5 was for types of. Now next we will come back on the feedback strategies. Now feedback strategies I have given 10 marks. So now this 10 marks, like how to know that you have done your job. Because at the end of the day, the teacher should understand that she has done justice to her job. How she has done justice to her. She has to mark herself whether has she done this for the child, whether the child is understood or not. So this is timely feedback. The first point comes at timely feedback. So you should provide timely feedback that is prompt and relevant. Like if you see that the child is not completing his books, for example, I'm telling you, this is not coming in assessment, but this is a part of the assessment. If you're feeling that the child is not completing his book, for example, it is your duty to inform the parent. My school, I do that. Like suppose the child is not completing the book, we have a system wherein we write to the parent, kindly see that your child is completing the book, lesson number 5, subject SS, and question number 1, 2, 3 has not been completed. This is what we do in our school. So I don't know whether your school is doing or not, but even if they are not doing, you can connect with the parent and tell them, sir, your child is, or the ma'am, this your child is not. So if your feedback is prompt and it is relevant, it is helpful to the child. So you must always have timely feedback, not that the child has not completed a lesson in, say, June, and you tell the parent in October, sir, your child is not writing. Is it relevant? No, it is not relevant. So your feedback should be on time and also it should be prompt. Then your feedback should be specific. You cannot tell that no, on that day I saw the child coming and then he was just sitting in the class and not doing, and he was not start writing, and no, it should be specific which day the child has not done anything. So you should focus on specific aspect of the student's work, not be vague. It should be always focusing on a specific thing. Then it should be a constructive means you should be supporting the child. Okay, the child is very slow in writing. I will try to see that I put him on the first bench, for example. I'm giving. Not every child can sit on the first bench, but yes, when you are writing a question or an answer on the board, just have a look at the child's book, whether the child is writing or just sitting idle. So it helps you also and it helps the child also. So when you tell a parent, no, no, I have been with him, with the child, and I'm watching him, and this is the thing that I'm seeing in your child, kindly take some action on it, make him understand I'm also doing. So be supportive to the child as also to the parent also, because if you give a feedback to a parent, definitely not out of 100, out of 100 parents will not be supportive towards you, but I'm 100% sure at least 80% will be supportive to you, and they will be liking you more because they'll feel you're paying more attention to that child. In a class of 40, I understand it is not very easy to put your support and give support to all the children and pay attention to all the children. But if you are a good teacher, I am 100% sure that you can focus on all the 40. That is the best part about being a teacher. Then your feedback should be descriptive. Like you should provide a detailed feedback that explains the strength and weaknesses of a child. Like for example, some child is not so good in studies but good in sports. So you can always say, so being in sport is his strength. But because he's in the sport, he is lacking. So of course, you must give 50% importance to sports also and 50% to the studies. Because at the end of the day, the child should get to his 12th grade. So if the child is very good in 6th standard in sports and not passing, how will he go to 7th standard? That you should make the parent to understand. That you should make the child to understand, then the parent, because the parent understand. The child is more interested in playing. So you should say at least till 12th standard, better you should understand this and get through your exam. So you should explain the strength and weaknesses to the child as well as to the parent and get support from them. Feedback for improvement. So you should also focus on feedback that promotes students. Like if the parent gives you some feedback of the child, what he does at home, or you give a feedback to the child, what he is doing in the class, that to and fro of the focus, the feedback that you give, it improves the child's grades also. So you should focus on the feedback for his improvement. Student-led feedback. Encourage student to take ownership of feedback. If you are saying that you are not so good in this particular subject, or you can improve by this way, so you should allow the child to accept. First the child will say, no, no, I'm very good and I can do wonders, teacher, what you're telling I don't understand, but you should make him understand what you're trying. Your point should come across to him. So the child should take ownership of his the feedback that you are giving, and the child should accept. It is your duty to make the child understand, hey, why are you saying that? The child should not feel that he is being targeted. The child should not feel that you are being too harsh on him or hard on him. Your approach towards the child should always be friendly, no matter what the child do. I do understand it is very difficult to say yeah, you should be good to all the children. You say, but ma'am, this is not so. In the class, when you go, this child does this, and it really boils my blood, and I get angry. I do understand all those things, but still, I will say it is you who can mold them and not anybody else. So, yes, you should focus on the feedback and you must see that the student's improvement is there. You should also have technology enhanced feedback, like leverage technology to provide efficient and effective feedback. So technology nowadays is playing a very, very important part in today's life, and everybody is into technology. Everybody is trying to get everything in writing and all that stuff. So you must leverage your technology to provide, and you should use it for efficient and effective feedback. You should give it in writing. You should tell this and thing has happened. So it becomes easier for you. Peer feedback. What is peer feedback? Encourage students to provide feedback to each other. Like I used to have this in my class. I used to ask each child about each other. Like, I used to mark them. I used to make them stand roll number wise. Sometimes 1 to 20, 22. Like I used to have different combination. And I used to ask them, tell me one good thing about this and one thing that you really don't like about this child in my classroom when I was a teacher. So they used to say, I like this thing about this child and not that thing. So this kind of feedback also encourages the child to understand. Acha, so you feel that I'm not so good in this, so I'll try to be. Some will take it in a negative way, some will take it in a positive way. But you should see that they take it in the right spirit. So peer feedback is also important, and you must encourage children to have a feedback about each other, and they should tell you, ma'am, this child is this child is so, or they should even tell each other. So peer feedback helps you. So have it that in your strategy if you are in a class, and try to understand and try to use these strategies in your teaching pattern. Definitely it will help you. Then we should have feedback on progress. You must provide feedback that highlights to, always don't say negative about any child. I feel there should be no negative about a child. You must say never say good and bad. You must say not so good. You must never say this child is bad, this child is useless. So you said, no, we can make use of this child's talent here. You should use words that are not too very harsh on the child. Because these days the children are very sensitive, and not the students like which we had 10, 15 years back. So even if you look at a child, the parent will say, they'll come to you and say, ma'am, that teacher is looking at my child. I really don't understand why they have to come and tell you that you're looking at the child. What harm does it make? Nay, you saw at my child and he was getting nightmares in the night. There are incidences when these kind of complaints come to you. So yes, there are some loopholes in today's teaching a student pattern kind of a thing. But nevertheless, we have to move forward with all kind of children, all kind of teachers, all kind of parents, and all kind of managements also, because they also play a very important role in shaping the teachers, progress. So you should highlight the students' progress most of the time, and also highlight the progress of a child wherein he is faltering in such a manner that they don't feel bad about it. So you must always sugarcoat that, I will say. You say your point, what you want to say, but say it in a way that the other person is not offended, not feeling bad about it, not feeling small about it, etc. So highlight the points. And also your feedback should be actionable. Provide the student with a actionable feedback. Actionable feedback means, um, like suppose I don't understand a particular, I can't memorize a particular word, or I cannot understand the spelling. So break the word and make the child learn, especially with the small children. They're finding difficult to write the correct spelling. So how to write the correct spelling, the pronunciation, like what you do. Of course, it comes in the lower class when you teach them phonetics and all these things. So the pronunciation should be done in this way and that way. So help the student and provide them that they can take action. Tell them how should they improve. What should they do to improve themselves? So if we provide them actionable feedback, definitely children try to surpass your expectation. You might be thinking if he gets 40 out of say like he's getting 50% marks, so your expectation is that he should get 50 marks, like in 10 marks more. But the child, by your encouragement, might show you that he got 60 marks. So that is a win-win situation for you as well as a child. So always have these kind of feedbacks, which I have put it in 10 pointers, like timely feedback, specific feedback, constructive feedback, descriptive feedback, feedback for improvement, student-led feedback, technology-enhanced feedback, peer feedback, feedback on progress, and actionable feedback. This will help you to assess your child. So I have already completed 5, 10, 15, and 10, 25 marks. Yet there are more things to tell, and we are running out of time, I think. So I will try to be a little quick in my explanation. My PPTs are self-explanatory. You will find that I have given everything. Even if you read the headings, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Use multiple. Now we are. What are the best practices in the market, or what are the best practices that you can use to see that your assessment is good? First is best practices. Now, first is use multiple assessment method. So incorporate various assessment methods to cater to different learning style. Some can understand by, some can verbally say good. They can speak well. Somebody can write well. Someone can have good actions. So there are multiple type of assessment which you can do with a child. Not necessarily you should go with the older pattern only, older fashions only. Nowadays you can use n number of styles to assess a child. You should also use technology, because in technology it helps you to understand things better. Using technology reduces your stress. Nowadays, so everybody is using chat gpt and ai and all that to minimize their workload stress. Even the different kind of publication, like SAR also is giving you they give you so much of a hand holding is done by them, by providing you do so many kinds of things. So technology is definitely used, and you should make optimum use of technology whatever you are having. You must involve students in the assessment process also. So you should, like I said earlier, you should encourage students to take ownership of their learning. Like before also I told, they should take ownership of their learning. They should know where they are standing, but not just by marks, but also sorry, by different means you can make them responsible for their own actions. So this is one of the three practices that I saw. The further if I go, then you should provide opportunities for reflection. Allow students to reflect on their learning and set goals. So if you have to give them what are your goals in your life, what you want to do, especially for the older children, the 9th and 10th children. So you should allow them some time to reflect on themselves and have goals in their life. Children are so much so what I can say, indifferent to today's, indifferent today. If you ask a child, what do you want to become? Whatever I have said, suppose I say I want to become a pilot, the other child will say, I also want to become a pilot. The third child will also say, I want to become a child. So they have no set goals. And at times, most of the time, it is so that they are depending on their parents. Whatever the parents choose for them, they would go in that particular field. So encourage them, tell them about different careers, what they can follow after they finish their 10th standard and 12th standard grade. So let them reflect, and whatever is their abilities, whatever is their capabilities, they can always have goals in their life and can go towards it in later part of their life. You should differentiate assessment, cater to diverse learning needs and abilities. This I have already covered, but again I'm saying, the students are having different learning needs that they understand in a different way. Not all children are same, everybody is different, and their abilities also is different, but we all are one. Like how five fingers are there in one palm, like same way five different types of children are there in your class, but at the end of the day they all have to fare well. So the assessment should be different, which you can cater to different type of children. You must also focus on critical thinking. Assessment should encourage critical thinking and problem solving. I always say, like, uh, critical thinking is so very important, and rote learning is just out of the box nowadays, that nobody encourages rote learning. If your child is only good in studies and not so good in other extracurricular activities, I would say that the child is not doing so great. Only studies never takes you through the room, like, never. So you must encourage the child in critical thinking, like, you must always say ki, let's understand, let's critically analyze this aspect of your studies. So we should encourage that critical thinking, and they should not only come with the problem. So if they are coming to you with a problem, you must always tell children, before coming to me with your problem, you should also bring a solution to it. Like on my door, I want to write now. Since many days I'm thinking of writing. Enter in my room with the solution. Same way, you should also tell your children, yes, I understood your problem. Now you only tell me, how should I resolve this problem of yours? Instead of you giving them answers, how to solve it, let them learn to solve the problems themselves. If they are coming to you with some problem, tell them, yes, very good. I know, I understand this is your problem. But now you only tell me, how should I solve this problem? So, of course, they will tell you 10 different ways and 10 different means by which they can solve their problem. So, you find the best problem among them, and you try to tell them, ki, yeah, this is the best problem solving method that you're using, and I encourage to you to do this. So, always help the children to solve the problems themselves only. So, this is how you can focus on these methods. Further, if we go, then you should have a differentiate assessment, cater to, I told you. Then regular assessment, conduct regular assessment and monitor their progress. You should always have feedback loops, establish feedback loops to ensure continuous improvement. Of course, there will be always loopholes in whatever you do, but we should always have a continuous improvement, and you should also have feedback loops in your program of assessing a child. So this is the points that I have taught to you about. And then the last point which I'm having is student feedback. Encourage students to provide feedback on the assessment progress. Like suppose you are correcting their papers, and your marking style is different and the children are expecting different. So ask them, what do you think should be the assessment process? How should I correct your papers? You tell me. Should I cut your marks on spellings or not? Or should I leave it grammatical mistake? I should allow it or not? So they will only tell, no, no, ma'am, you should deduct marks for this, but not for this. So try to assess and try to understand why they are wanting this change in you. So student feedback also sometimes help you. Don't always think they are children, so we should not listen to them. No, you must encourage your child and provide feedback on the assessment process, how you are cutting the paper. Tell them beforehand, before the exam, see, this is the question. These are the question. If you write it in pointers, I will give you marks, not necessary to write it in brief way. So what you want to know is whether they have understood the concept or not. You don't want to know an essay. in any of the subject, you are not interested in, because to read an essay is a very boring thing. So if they put the pointers in the answer, it's well and good, we are giving them marks. So tell them how will be your assessment process, so that when they write the papers, you will know that yes, they have understood whatever instructions you have given to them. So this is very, very important aspect which you have to discuss with your children. After this, what the NCF recommending? What the NCF is saying, that you have to focus on competencies. This is the recommendations made by the NCF. So assessment should focus on developing competencies rather than just knowledge. Throughout this 1.5 hour that I am going to speak was this only, that we should always develop competency in the child, not just knowledge. So you should focus in developing them, and just not learning rote learning method, and not only have brief answers. So the nowadays it is more of MCQs. Even these days, the we have two board patterns. Now two board patterns means the child is given an opportunity to pass his 10th grade twice, which was earlier not there. But this year we have got two board patterns. So if the board himself is telling that you have to develop the competency of the child and not just knowledge, so it is our duty to see that yes, we are also following, because NCF is going through lot of suggestions, lot of brainstorming goes, and then they bring out a rule. Maybe there must be incidences which they feel ki this too board. I don't know how far this will be going on, but we do not want the child to be stressed. So that is why this two board pattern has been brought. So we should also follow this. You should emphasize on critical thinking. Assessment should encourage critical thinking and problem solving, as I told you. Peer assessment should be there, encourage students to assess and provide feedback on each other's work. Then focus on learning outcomes. Assessment should measure students' progress towards learning outcomes. So this is what also I have already told you. And assessment should be authentic. Assessment should be authentic means you should be fair enough to the people. So this is how the assessment should be done according to the NCF recommendations. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. I am trying to finish up this soon so that you can understand. Now there are assessment feedback should be ongoing, feedback should be specific, assessment should promote learning. There are 7 qualities of effective feedback. Now if you can see in that box, effective means you have to be timely, specific, brief, useful, honest, positive, and kind. So these qualities should be there in an effective feedback. If you follow these feedback, you will definitely get a good answer. So all your feedback should cater to these kind of policies that you should have in your assessment. And after this, I have finished my PPT. I have finished what I had to tell about it. If there are any questions that you need to ask, you can always write it in the chat box. I can answer all those questions to you. So it was very extensive, and most of the points I have taken care of. But still, if you feel that I have not explained anything more, or you want to have any more explanation, so I can definitely answer them. And if you are understood everything, well and good. If you are understood my teaching, then my webinar session, whatever I'm having, so I will take it that I did a good job. So you can ask me if you want to ask anything, and I'm ready to answer you. Uh, Shajida Solomon, okay. As you have mentioned, we can take child's feedback to deduct marks also. How is it possible for class 1 and 2 children? No, no, I never said that we can deduct marks. I have never ever said this word that you can deduct marks. I said as you have mentioned, we can take child's feedback to deduct marks. No, you have to correct them. You don't have to deduct marks. If you deduct marks, they will be disappointed. And child 1 and 2 children, they are very, very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. If the grade 9th and 10th child comes to you, you can deduct marks and say you have not done this and you have not done that, because they are in that process. They can understand. But if child 1 and 2 come to even half a mark less from one child to another child, it affects them. It affects them. So you should not deduct mark. In fact, we have that. You must also be having. You give them a star or something, and if you don't give a star to one child, the child is feeling very bad, and he goes home and tells his mother, "Teacher did not give me a mark." So do not give them a negative marking ever. So do not deduct marks of any child. Um, Feedback loop is like suppose it's a continuous process. Loop means you have to keep all the children in the loop in the sense, like suppose I have for example, I can give you today we are having a session and we'll say we have asked a question and we have got the answers, and we are saying okay, now next week when I am coming, I am going to have this process again, and we are going to take the process further, and we will be in a loop. Means then again that child you should ask, the second child you should ask, okay, what was the remark this child got? Then they'll say, ah, you told him that he's not so good in this. Okay, so then third week again you can come back. So that is loop. You should keep on asking and taking feedback from a children on uh, as regular intervals, like not that today you have asked them and after 2 months you come and tell them, okay, what we did that time. No, then the child also will not remember, you'll also not remember what the child said. So it should be in a loop, continuous. That is what I said, the continuous feedback should be there from the child to the teacher. Your relationship with the student should be so strong that they on a everyday basis they come and tell you something. Because I know you must be having 5 lectures, 6 lectures, whatever lectures you are having, I know. So it is very difficult to cater to everybody at every time, like you are running behind to complete the portion, because you are not able to complete the portion sometimes, with all these holidays that are coming in between. Sometimes you get 3 and 4 days holidays for rains, then this Ganpati Chutti comes, then your Diwali comes, then your Christmas comes, then your May so you are always lagging behind in completing your portion. Like even 1 day holiday is a big tension for teacher, I do understand. But it is your job to see that how you do it, how you manage your time, because everybody has 24 hours in a day only, and every school is having 6 7 8 hours only to be in the school, like so it is that is I said now, every day if you do it will be easier, but if you do one today once and then after 2 months, then no, it is a very difficult job to keep everything.
This was a
I hope.
question I was about to ask you, ma'am. Ki many teachers struggle with time constraints. So
Yes.
how can they provide personalized, constructed feedback without it becoming overwhelming?
Yeah, I do understand the problem, and I completely agree with you that we don't have time to complete our portion. I am totally on this with you. That is why I said no. I used to have a small book, a small 100 pages book. Maybe I was taking 3 or 4 sections. I used to have their names, like no, I used to put only one word, like one word, not many words, because you cannot write and you don't have time for that. So when you have the time after school, because you have been asked to stay back after school for half an hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, whatever your school pattern is. In that time, I used to do those things. So in the class, not possible. Completing the portion, difficult means the most difficult job is completing a portion when sometimes you yourself feel, I have not done justice to my job. You yourself feel, yeah, I have not taught nicely. I could have done it more better. Like, you yourself feel guilty about it, but then you say what to do, no time, and exams are coming, and we are not giving them enough revision also. So this is your conscience only doesn't ask you to go ahead, but then this job has to be done only when you are staying back. And just it is not a big job. I honestly am telling you, you try this for 1 week, you try this, just one word about that child. It will take you 15 to 20 minutes, maximum half an hour, because you must be having 3 class, 4 class, 5 class. I don't think anybody must be giving you more than 5 class if you are taking a English subject or whichever subject, because 5 class means one time only it is a job. One time that you have the list for the whole year, and put small lines, like just one word. You will keep a continuous progression for that. So with this, you can do that. You can do that. Okay, I have your. Okay, thank you so much. Your explanation is really authentic, true, and appreciable. Blessed to have session with you. Thank you so much. Thank you for these kind words. I'm really.
I I actually had another question, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Many schools still emphasize on marks because parents demand it. So, how can school leaders communicate the value of holistic assessment to parents?
It depends upon the head of the school how she approaches actually. Yes, my school also emphasizes on marks only, but it is not a one day job to change their mindset, because since donkey's years we are having that assessment and we are grading our children on marks. Even grades are not acceptable in India. No, grades are also, if you give them A grade, how do we know the child got 90 or 92 or 95? They will tell you that. Correct? They will tell you that. But it is the mindset which is changing. Apart grade, first grades are not allowed at all. But now somewhere they are expecting from us that we grade them, because the children, those who are very good, they want that 97, 98, 99 marks. And those are not so good, those are falling in C and D category. They are happy that they are falling in C and D category, and they don't want to know the marks. So this is a big drift between the good and not so good children. But yes, it's a very slow process, and slowly, slowly we are trying to evolve and trying to accept the Western culture of learning over here, where they have credit. They have credit system. We do not yet have credit systems in. We yet do not have credit, because they think we should not stress the children, whereas we think a child should know everything under the sun. In grade 1 the child should know everything under the sun, which they expect of third standard grade. उसको उतनी समझ होनी चाहिए कि उसको इतना आना चाहिए, but they are not understanding the age of the child is 5 and 6 and 7 years. So yes, it's the parent whom we have to change, not the child.
And I think
So
this is more about gap discovery, right?
yes,
Because there can be a student with 92 marks and another with 92 marks, but somebody excelling in maths or somebody
yes,
excelling in
yes,
English.
yes, yes. It is the parent who has to be taught. I always feel the we should have more webinars for parents than for teachers.
Hmm.
We have to educate the parents more than the teachers. The teachers know their job well. The teachers are good in their job. But the parent, it's a very difficult job. So more webinars should be made for the parents to understand rather than teachers to understand. Because teacher, she's really helpless at the end of the day when the parent come to her and give her a big lecture on how to teach a child. Whereas they cannot teach one child in the class, they expect the teachers to explain 40 children. So parent have to be educated first. But yes, teacher is teacher. Vidusha, we can't say anything. She has to do her job no matter how she does it. Is there anything more that anybody would like to know? I'm there to answer.
If anybody has any question, they can also raise their hand if they're not able to keep it in the chat box. We'll unmute them.
I take it that I have explained very well then.
Yes, and I believe we have covered all the questions today. However, if anybody has any queries or concerns, they can feel free to reach us out.
Okay.
They can connect us with via LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, or email, and all the contact informations are available on our website www.sareducation.com. So, Miss Alice, thank you so much for your time and dedication. We
My
deeply
pleasure.
appreciate the valuable insights you've shared today. Your commitment to education is truly inspiring, and we are grateful for the effort that you've put into making this session
I
so
hope
impactful.
I was of any help to you, all the teachers. I really hope that I was of any help. And definitely anything other than this also, if you have anything want to know, we'll definitely help you.
So we look forward to hosting more SAR webinars with you, as your expertise is instrumental in enhancing the knowledge and
Yeah,
skills of our
definitely,
educators.
definitely, Vidisha. You are a great help. Thank you for coordinating with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
And a heartfelt thank you to all the wonderful participants who participated today and which made this session truly a success. And everybody, the system has recorded their attendance. Your certificates will be sent to you on your registered email ID. And now, thank you everyone for joining in and wishing you all a wonderful evening and a happy weekend.
Thank you. Wish you the same, dear. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.